Hello, eRank. Caught us dancing again. It's another Thursday, and it's the day after the Q4 and 2024 Etsy investors report. So Starla's just put up the report in the chat. If you haven't seen it, you can go and have a look, follow along the presentation. It's just some slides, and let us know what you want to know about that, or about Etsy, or about eRank, or about the fact that I've had way too much coffee today. It's not going to be a good one, but yeah, let us know what you want to know about, because I think last week, terribly sorry, we missed half your questions because you guys asked so many questions and we distracted ourselves so much that so we will try and get to as many questions as we possibly can, but I would advise getting them in early, because everyone seems to wait till it's 5 minutes to and then dumps all the questions in.
Well, to be fair, last week we had a jam-packed session and lots of people had questions, right at the beginning. So the investors report, I put it in the chat. Feel free to open it up if you want to follow along. Nothing shocking in it. I think that we all know that Etsy didn't do great in Q4. It wasn't awful. It wasn't terrible. It was a little down from what they expected for the holidays, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was still a lot of sales.
Yep. I have myself and Bryan will be going live on my channel after this, and I have the graphs that matter, and we do. Although sales and everything are down, the ratio of sellers to buyers and the amount of money each seller's making is kind of better than last year. Last year was the worst in like a decade, but better than last year.
Yeah, and Josh even said that this year, or 2024, I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but he said something about like new sellers are making like their first sales at a higher rate than previously, or something like that. Like,
yeah, he was definitely positive about sort of all sellers are doing individual sellers are doing better. So that is what we want. I mean, at the end of the day, when any of these sites started, but especially when Etsy started, its push was we need lots of sellers because we can't get buyers until we have sellers. Now we have too many sellers, really. So Etsy saying, let's just keep the best ones. It's not going to kick you out if you're doing the right thing, but they're not going to cry if you're a terrible shop and they get rid of you. So, and I think probably none of us will if they get rid of all the bad ones. So there's more customers to go around for the rest of us.
Yeah. Created by EJF said, I'm just wondering if they thought the bounce back after the election would be better, or is it as expected? Josh did mention that in the Q&A portion after the investors presentation. I think that they expected to do better in 2024 based on like some of the things that they put in place, some of the infrastructure that they put in place, and their advertising. I do think that they expected it to be better than it was. Obviously, it's going to be better than the last. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't have been better than the last election season, because the last election season was in the middle of COVID.
Exactly. That was, things were doing great. That's probably for many of you that haven't been on Etsy for that long. The past 5 years have been very different, so we've not seen that dip from election things and stuff, but now it's definitely a difficult time. Yep. And yes, they had planned for the bounce back for everything. They'd planned for the end of last year to be a lot better than it was. And there was a lot of factors, including, they did admit, including things that they'd done have caused a slowdown in the hope that in the future it'll do a bit better. So it is, I think it's a good way to run your business, to be thinking in the long term, but it's difficult for us to take when they say, yeah, definitely stuff they did, they reckon caused less sales. So hopefully we'll start to see good.
It's nice to hear them actually say it, because in the past it's like you almost feel like you're being like gaslighted about because they're like,
Exactly.
oh,
Oh, it's going to be so wonderful. And then this past couple of years, it has been nice to be a bit more honest.
yeah.
Oh, Debbie's doing her taxes. I hope you're staying warm. For Debbie is our wonderful our wonderful Facebook person, and she's always here. And she's having a week off to do her taxes, and it's chose this week to snow heavily. So hopefully she's in staying cozy.
Yeah, my kid had a snow day today, and then the snow like immediately melted. So it was. But Kat had said, what do you think of the CFO's comments that they're adding deliberate friction into seller signups? He mentioned wanting serious sellers who will do the work, which I think is a good thing. So yes, I definitely think that's a positive thing. I actually just had a comment on my YouTube channel last night where somebody attempted to start a secondary shop, and the sign up fee, previously it was $15, and I think she said it was $29 when she attempted to.
I had probably the same person say the same thing on mine, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're testing random sign up prices, which I think friction's a good thing for sellers that we don't want. I think friction across the board, doesn't it just feel like they charge a random amount to keep people away. They shut down shops, they put them on reserve and stuff. I think it's not good friction. Maybe it would be better. I think I spoke about this a little while ago. Is it something like, I think it's one of the Amazon things. You're only allowed to list a certain number of listings until you get a certain number of sales or something.
I
I
like
think that kind of friction, yeah, that would be a bit better. Potentially, they could slow it down by your first number of listings are more strongly scrutinized. I mean, it's going to be a bot checking them, but a little bit slower, because even on YouTube, you're all watching on YouTube. A few years ago, they had lots of issues, and what we get now when we're uploading a video, that it automatically does copyright checks before the video goes live. So copyright's a little, because it's not copyright to see if the whole internet is just copyright across YouTube. But it would be good if they slow down, your listing takes a little while to be approved rather than approved and taken down, put up and then taken down immediately. So that
Yeah.
kind of friction, I think I would like. Just
Yeah, it's when
being
you say it.
inefficient and a bit of an asshole. Let's be
Yeah,
honest. That's not good friction. It's like you only
when
get to open a shop if you jump through all the hoops of frustration we set up.
when Etsy's consolidated revenue is up, but GMS is down, like that tells me that Etsy is,
Yes, what's Etsy's business model just now? But they've been getting a lot of stick for that. Even the investors aren't happy with seeing that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. How long does it take to have eRank update a listings grade? I've been tweaking one of my listings, which is similar to an A grade one, and I don't see any improvement. Oh, Pam, yeah,
Yeah. If you hit refresh, when
yeah.
you've made changes on your listing, if you hit refresh, it automatically updates. However, we do have a slight extra in the grades, in that we're not just looking at the SEO you've put in. We did listen to you guys a few years ago, and quite rightly, we're also looking at recent sales. So if you have two identical listings, but one has more recent sales, that's going to have a higher grade, just because it's proven. Like we can't tell you if the algorithm's absolutely going to love it, but a good indicator is the listing doing well. So we do include a little bit of that. So that's why you might be saying this listing's identical, I've done everything right, that the other one might have made some sales.
Yeah, and we put that into place because, as we always say, grades are just how well you followed Etsy's best practices. They're not, like Pam said, they're not going through your listing and telling you that your listing is good or bad. But we would see people who would have low grade listings, and those listings would be selling. But, the sellers are like, oh, but what if I made the grade an A? And they would go and tweak those listings that were already performing well, tank their performance because they just removed keywords that were leading to traffic. And then they would get mad at us because, oh, you know, eRank told me to change my listing and now it's not making any sales, when in reality it was just a misunderstanding of what the tool was actually doing. So we made those changes, like Pam said, you know, where if you've made a sale, it will automatically increase your grade, because sales and positive reviews of a listing are the best thing for that listing's overall health and visibility. Etsy's going to show it to more people if they know it's selling. It's why if you sometimes you get a sale and then mysteriously that same item will sell, you know, a couple hours later or the next day, even if it's a listing that doesn't normally sell. So that's just further proof that Etsy's kind of showing that listing to more people. And if that's the case, then we grade it accordingly. So
yeah, you've just had me thinking there. I'm going to ask if we can add recent reviews into the listing audit as
I would
well.
love that. That
Yeah,
would be awesome, especially yeah, that shouldn't be difficult.
I'm pretty yeah, we have that data. Why not?
Let's see. Michael had said, how does GPSR affect Etsy sellers? I mean,
GPSR. Etsy's supposed to be putting out something this month to help us.
for some sellers, I think it's affecting them a lot if a lot of their sales are going to the affected areas. I mean, for me, it's not really affecting me at all. So I think it depends.
I miss my German customers,
Yeah.
basically, but it's affecting us in that we probably can't sell to Europe unless you know what you're doing. Not entirely sure in the UK if we can even be selling to Northern Ireland. How does it affect us is there is not enough information out there. We literally don't know. And I think roughly the eRank stance is we don't know what's going to happen, how these are going to be enforced, and we'd prefer you guys not to be the guinea pigs to find out and end up getting sued or something or whatever they're going to do. So about all we know about GPSR, I always say them wrong. GPSR is it's a thing for everything being sold to the EU, and they basically want to know that your items are safe to be sold there, which is absolutely fine. So you should know what your materials are, what you're making your item out of, and make sure it's safe and everything. But the other thing that's very, very difficult is you need a representative. If you don't live in the EU, you need a representative who will be legally responsible for your products there, which basically means it's going to be expensive to do that. We've been looking into options, but there's nothing good just now. There's nothing perfect just now. So yeah, if you don't know, probably best to switch off to Europe just now. And Marlene's asked, does this include digital files? As far as we know, Etsy thinks it does. Some other platforms don't think it does. It's legal stuff. I've read it as much as I can, and I don't know.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. If you guys feel confused and we look confused, I promise you Etsy is just as confused. Like no one knows yet. And hopefully when Etsy, I mean, they said February and February is almost over. So hopefully we get some answers from them soon.
Yeah, and Bryan says there it is just members of the EU, not Europe as a whole. Yeah, for everyone who doesn't know, Europe, EU, UK, and Great Britain are very confusing things. Basically, we're very complicated, but yes, the whole of Europe isn't in the EU is basically it. And Etsy we do have the option in our shipping profiles to have Europe EU and Europe not EU. That option is there for most of us, I think.
Let's see. Jason said, I was wondering why the second week of February sales are going down. Well, keep in mind, like, I don't know what you sell, and seasonality does, definitely play into some products, but just assuming that, you sell a relatively universal product, this is when sales slow down for everybody because Christmas is over, the holiday season is over. I know it sounds crazy, but holiday shopping usually starts around August. So if you're used to seeing, good sales August through December, that's because of the holidays. And then, we sometimes get a little bit for Valentine's Day. And, if you're saying the second week of February, well, by then people are done with Valentine's Day shopping. And they're, moving on to thoughts of Easter and then, Mother's Day and spring and summer holidays. Now, I don't know what you sell, but if you are selling something that's giftable, I would definitely think about how you can start looking forward at some of these other holidays that your products might be, well used for. If they're not seasonal, this might just be a standard pattern that you're going to need to start recognizing every year for your shop, when your good seasons are and when your bad seasons are. For my shop, because we officially license with authors to create merch for their books, most popular book releases tend to happen in the fall and winter. And fall is when we do the very best. Obviously, the holiday season, my products are highly giftable, but in the fall, that's where everybody's hunkering down and reading their books on the couch because it starts to get chilly outside. So that's when my shop tends to do the best. Right now, not doing that great. I'm selling a sticker, every few days or so, but for the most part, things have slowed down, and I expect them to stay pretty slow either until an author that we're licensed with releases a new title, or until the next giftable holiday comes around, which for us, that will probably be Mother's Day, because, primarily we focus on things in the fantasy romance genre. So our primary demographic is women. But yeah, these are just patterns that, as you run your business, you come to recognize. And this is also why it's a good idea, if you make a bunch of money during the holiday season, don't just blow through it real fast. Try to create yourself almost a reserve. That way, you know how to kind of make those funds stretch, because every business experiences this. It's just harder to see when you're on this micro scale rather than macro. You think about Amazon, they're probably not hurting all that bad right now because, even if their sales are down, their sales are probably still phenomenal because it's Amazon. But I'm sure that they're not as good as they were in December. And for us, it could be 10 sales a day in December, dwindling down to, 10 sales a month in February, March. I dare say March is probably my worst month on Etsy every year.
Yeah, towards the summer, definitely. It's a bit random, but yeah. And one thing we usually kind of mention this, but we never did last year because everything's been so quiet. But if you did have a really great Christmas season, guys, don't quit your day job based on quarter four. Even with everything being a bit down, quarter four is always higher than the rest of the year. So yeah, for relatively small shops, you'll probably find the last 3 or 4 months of the year, you'll make more sales than the whole rest of the year. So don't quit your day job till you know the fluctuations and how much money you're making of a whole year, rather than go, oh, my November and December sales were enough to pay my bills. Bye-bye, boss.
Yeah. And changing products changes it as well. My jewelry, I sold jewelry for 9 years on Etsy, and it did the best, obviously, around the holidays, but it also did really well around the summer because people were going out and they wanted fancy jewelry to wear on, dates or vacation or, going out with friends. So I did really, really well in the summer for my jewelry. But now, I'm selling these bookish products, and you might think that people are reading all year, which they are, but a lot of them have, funds aren't exactly very flexible right now for many people. And I think that spoiling yourself and buying cozy sweatshirts and blankets themed in books is really more of a fall activity. So, even from industry to industry, I've noticed a lot of changes. It's like if you sell flip-flops or, bikinis, you're going to do really, really well in the summer when other sellers might be saying summer is the worst for sales. It completely depends on what you sell.
Absolutely. It was one of the reasons I came into Etsy, because before I was a driving instructor, and round about Christmas time, the run up to Christmas, people are getting lessons less and they get loads after Christmas and during the summer. So my shop was there to fill the dip when people would buy things at Christmas but weren't taking driving lessons. Sometimes it could be, for most of you, it's probably not a good idea to open a second shop, but sometimes it can either a second shop or a second thing that's dips and rises are at the opposite time, so you can balance out your income.
Michelle said, what did Josh mean when he made multiple references to holistic experience?
I know. Buzzwords to make you feel like you're saying something. Sorry, Josh, that's very mean, but it's business speak. It doesn't
the
mean much.
all-encompassing experience of
But that's about all it means, is the whole thing. But it makes it sound like he's saying something clever or important. I hate really big buzzwords that mean a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, he's just referring to the entire top to bottom full picture experience of Etsy. He uses a lot of words like that. He likes to throw in a lot of fancy ones.
Yeah, it's
the word salad.
Yeah. It makes you feel comforted, like he knows what he's talking about, and then when you dive into it deeper, it's like that doesn't really mean anything.
So Linda said, I'm not crazy about their ads on TV. What do you think? I wasn't crazy about the Waldo ad.
I like the Waldo one better than the bloomin' French meme one.
Yeah, that was awful.
But they're going to be spending less on their TV ads and moving to things like YouTube ads. They mentioned that several times. So, or what do they call it? It's like unplugged TV, or I can't remember. They were using different terms, but they meant we're not doing TV and we're doing streaming stuff. And basically he name checked YouTube. So
more personalized. They're going to be using machine learning to create more personalized ads for Facebook. Unfortunately, I get a lot of people who get really excited because they get a Facebook ad, for Etsy for one of their own listings, and they think Etsy's advertising, their listings really well.
Yeah.
They just know that you have looked at your own shop, so they're advertising your own listings to you. But it is a good sign that possibly those listings are showing up on Facebook for other people who have viewed your shop. So, the fact that you're seeing
it shows that your listings are out there in ads. And I hope they do well with this, because one of the things that Shein and Temu have done fantastically well is their targeted Facebook ads.
Ridiculous ads for ridiculous
you look at
products.
One thing and they know that I kind of really liked this thing, and they stalk me till I buy the blooming thing.
That's not me. They show me ads for things that look like they're inappropriate products. And you're like, what is this? Is this a medical device? What am I looking at?
Yes, that one, so that everybody shares it with their friends. Yeah.
Exactly it. They
the clever one.
Show you things that may or may not be not safe for work. Let's see. Chuck said, the missus wants to start this as a side business. Is there still a good chance to make it your main income under the current circumstances as a new seller? I have plenty of sellers that I coach who make a lot of money on Etsy. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes 5-10 years to be able to build a sustainable business. And just because it's Etsy, it doesn't mean that the laws of business don't still apply. Most startups and most businesses fail within their first 5 years. Most new products fail within their first 5 years. So with that in mind, could she potentially make a lot of money? Yes. It's going to be a lot of work. There's a ton of YouTubers out there that are just like, do a bunch of POD products, random designs, passive income. That's not Etsy. And that's why you see so many people posting videos also about how they don't make any money on Etsy. I'm quitting Etsy. I can't make any money on Etsy. It works for the people who are driven enough to learn how to run a business in a way that it would be successful no matter where they put it. Etsy is rented land. You are renting out a stall in a shopping mall, and there are people, millions of people shopping in that mall. That does not guarantee they're going to walk into your stall. You have a higher likelihood of someone coming across you in that shopping mall than if you were to start your own website and sell there, because if starting your own website is about the equivalent of putting your store out in the middle of a cornfield. You've got to pay for signs, advertising to point people in the direction of your store when it's standing out in the middle of a cornfield, because there's no organic foot traffic. Whereas with Etsy, as long as you learn things like keyword optimization, which is what we do at eRank, you're able to take advantage of the traffic that already exists there. Etsy is, I know that a lot of people get mad at the fees, but it is significantly cheaper than any other marketplaces. Their advertising, you can set your ads if you decide to do that. And I think that it's pretty fair compared to some of the other places where you can advertise, like Meta. So yeah, I think that what I recommend to any seller is to invest time into deep dive learning. Don't rely on watching YouTube shorts and TikTok videos and, reading through the Etsy forums to get your good information. Make sure that you're actually investing time into long-term strategies and understanding the full mechanics of what running a business actually is, because those are the businesses that do really, really well. And I do have sellers all the time that start, they'll start my program and they'll start a shop like from the ground up, and they'll do really, really well. So it is possible. But I know that in my shop, I purposefully chose a hard niche to compete in. It's a very small niche. It's print on demand, which is very saturated, but I wanted to prove that it is still possible. We're going on 2 years now, and we're up to almost 200 sales for a niche that is very, very small. So if you were to pick a niche that isn't overly saturated, but also, isn't as obscure as mine, then I could see quite a bit of potential there. It's just all about what you sell and how much time you're willing to invest into learning.
Yeah. I'm going to do the hard truth because we need it. I mean, Starla is absolutely right. There will be thousands of shops that start up this year and have a really good living out of it. But 99% of the shops, it's roughly, I have to look at the numbers, but it's more than 99% of the shops are not making enough sales to make your full living on.
Oh yeah, no.
So, it's a huge number. It is a tricky thing. You've got to not say, I'm going to start Etsy to make money, to make a living or something. You have to say, what's my superpower? Why do I want to sell on Etsy? Why do I want to do this? Do you make amazing things that people want to buy? That's the best reason to come on Etsy. Then you have, are you fantastically great at marketing? Do you know how to sell things? Are you great at SEO? Do you have a huge following somewhere? Do you have some kind of superpower that would help you with a business? Etsy, look, nowhere online pretty much. There's no easy passive income or anything. You have to be really good at something. You'll see the people who say, oh, I've made this fantastic, thing living out of nowhere on passive income or something. You'll see most of them either were very rich, they came from a very privileged background, or they have some very great experience or massive amounts of followers. But if you have something you want to make, or you are part of a great niche and you just know you can make stuff and you're willing to put in the time to learn the things that you don't know, yes, there's a good chance, because many people won't sell because they never really try and they give up before they've even started.
And their voices are the loudest. They're the ones that you see
Yeah.
complaining the most in all the Etsy groups. And I'm not saying that all the people who complain, like some of you have the right to complain, like especially when it comes to Etsy, not like answering your messages and solving legitimate problems. But most of the sellers who contact me and complain and say, oh, I'm not making sales, I'm gonna quit, I look at their shop and I'm like, this is trashy. You guys need to like put a little bit of time into the things that Pam and I tell you. And it's not to be mean, it's just It's like standing in a hole and you've got a ladder laying on the ground beside you and you're saying there's no way out because you're only
Yeah.
looking up and you're not taking the time to look at what's right in front of you and put it up. And again, this isn't all of you, but there are tons of sellers, and I'm sure you guys see it on Facebook and in the Etsy groups and in the Etsy forums where, people, oh, my shop got shut down, and you look at their shop and they're selling all Disney stuff or something. You're like,
Yeah.
of course your shop got shut down. It's the upset voices are the ones that are the loudest.
Yeah. Not just, I was just thinking the Disney as well. But the other thing, the thing I see so much of is people will message me with what they think is a competitor shop and say, why are they doing so well when I'm doing all the same things? And side by side, you're like, can you not see how amazing that shop is? It's really difficult to know how bad you are sometimes, but if you don't have a good eye for photography, can you not see that other person's shop is taking really beautiful photographs? They just have amazing stuff that people want to buy, and you dropped your earrings on a dirty kitchen counter and snapped it with the phone still moving so it's all blurry and go, why aren't people buying my stuff? There's so many people who are really, really good on Etsy. They have the superpower. They can take great pictures. They make excellent stuff. They can get a following. So, but it's not to put you off. It's definitely for anybody, like as a side business, it's a great thing to dive in. If you really want to do it and put in the work, you totally can do it, but it's not going to be quick, easy money.
Yeah. And there are, if you need help on, your journey, if you say, hey, I am, observant enough to notice that my photo was taken on a dirty kitchen counter when my competitors, have this beautiful professional photography setup. How do I make mine better? Pam and I have suggestions for you. We can help you to do
I
that.
think Chuck's a professional photographer.
That's perfect. See,
You've got your superpower.
There's leverage that. If you know that you are great at taking amazing photos, there are two ways that you can utilize that for your shop. Obviously, amazing product photos. Experiment. If one thumbnail isn't doing the trick, then switch it out for a different photo. But the other thing is social media. A lot of people don't realize that those amazing photography skills can be used for things like Instagram, where visual content is key, or Pinterest, where visual content is key, where you can take those amazing photos and repurpose them, or try to get some photos of your wife making products. That's another thing, because it shows, even if she doesn't want her face, just the hands making products, because it shows that these are really products made by a real human being, which is what Etsy's all about. And that is so much more powerful than, sellers who have to rely on things like print on demand. So if she's making them by hand, I would definitely recommend, incorporating that in there as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say after having a great product, photography is the most important thing. It's the thing that we could all be working on all the time that will make the biggest difference. So, yeah, if you've got a start on that, fantastic.
He said, okay, so she was thinking about selling mock-up images for other sellers. That's a huge demand. Now, keep in mind, margins are small. Digital files like that, you're not going to be selling, you're going to have to keep the costs low. So if she's wanting to make, you said $1,000 a month, think about how many sales, you're going to have to make in order to hit that point. It's a lot. So it will be a slow buildup, but is there demand for it? Absolutely. If you are a photographer and you could even create some mock-ups, to help her, to be able to create mock-ups that are completely unique.
Yeah, like if you're a photographer, make mock-ups with your pictures. Like really good pictures. There's plenty of people that it's allowed on Etsy, and it's absolutely fine to make AI mock-ups. But if you can take good pictures,
way better than AI.
We can tell an AI mock-up. As humans, you're a little bit like, something's wrong there.
Yeah, I don't like. I've never bought a listing. I've done it like where the background is a mock-up or is a AI image, but the product isn't. But if the whole thing is AI, I don't know what the quality is going to be when it arrives. So I'm skeptical and I don't trust it. He said, do you offer some group coaching she can join? So we are here every Thursday. I am live on my YouTube channel every Friday at noon. Pam, you don't have a live schedule right now, do you?
Not yet. No, I should do that again, but no. But we're here for you all the time, pretty much. If you're not, the Facebook group should be in the link below. That's our biggest community just now. But also, for everyone who doesn't know, our Reddit group is doing shop critiques and things. Even Jessica's been doing some video shop critiques, so guys who want to see their shops being critiqued. So we've got all of that, but join our communities and just ask your questions there. I'm actually excited to help you because I think it's a good thing somebody who knows how to take pictures has an idea for something that is a niche that's in demand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's see. If you're a new shop, I think there should not be a limitation on the number of listings. Otherwise, it will limit your testing and learning process and growth.
I agree. Yes, I should have specified with that. Yes, you need to test. However, I should have said at the time, the problem is there are influencers just now showing you how you can automate to make 100 listings a day. And that's awful. Like, a new seller comes in with a terrible product, makes 100 listings a day. They flood Etsy with awful. So that, I don't mean limit to a unreasonably small amount of listings. I mean, stop the ridiculously large amount.
Exactly. Created by EJF. Are we kind of automatically at a disadvantage listing quality wise if we only do original handmade one of a kind items? I list as I make things, so most of my items only have a quantity of one. Individual listings, yes, unfortunately, because Etsy really values a product that can sell more than once and get good reviews, because that's what a listing quality score is. It's Etsy saying this listing's doing well, people really like it, we need to show it to more people. They have said that one of a kind products can, your overall shop builds what's known as your customer and marketplace experience score, which is like your good standing with Etsy. It's your shop as a whole. It's kind of like scoreboard, I guess you could call it. And basically, if you don't have the ability to replicate listings and utilize that same listing over and over again, you're still able to build your customer and marketplace experience score, but you are at a disadvantage if you're doing one of a kind. Unfortunately, I'm a big fan of trying to find a couple products that you can replicate. So if you do one of a kind items, let's say that you make, some crazy, beautiful, one of a kind pendants that absolutely cannot be replicated. Well, could you go buy some beads and make a bunch of matching bracelets that can be replicated? That way you at least have a couple items that are floating around out in the Etsy algorithm. And then let's say somebody, finds one of those bracelets and they add it to their cart. Well, what are they going to do then? Are they going to check right out? No, in most cases, they're going to go to your storefront to see if there's anything else from you that they want to buy. And then that's when they might find those, those beautiful pendants that, you're hypothetically making. So that can kind of allow you to have a little bit of, leverage in the marketplace. It really sucks though, because I think one of a kind, that's like in essence what Etsy used to be. But even, I mean, how long, God, I stopped doing one of a kinds. I did high price one of a kinds around like $500 each, but I stopped making all of my pieces one of a kind. It had to have been like not 8-9 years ago. I knew right away, and that was a long time ago, that those one of a kind listings were at a disadvantage. It's been a long time that Etsy's favored those listings that sell over and over again.
It's always been, because I've been in since 2008. All of my items are one of a kind. Most of my listings are not one-offs. So leverage your uniqueness as your superpower. Firstly, there are shops that absolutely build up a big following of people who love their art. And then you've got the social media that says, next Tuesday, my PCs are going to be up for sale. Come and get them while you can. They usually sell out fast. That's a possible business model for a shop. Yep, you're not really going to get much out of Etsy search. It's going to take a little while to build up, but that absolutely works beautifully, where people are like, oh, their stuff's coming up next week. We've got to get ready. And they're sitting there waiting to pounce.
My first shop, that was my entire first shop. I couldn't even keep things in stock. That's one of the reasons that business ultimately failed. It was bringing in 6 figures, but I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep anything in stock.
Yep. And then the other option you have is basically what I do with my shop. Etsy loves personalized stuff. So can you offer personalized examples? Like, I make needle felted dogs. So I looked, and lots of people are searching just now for Cairn Terriers. So I made a listing that said, basically, I will make your Cairn Terrier. I make one. This listing will get sold and relisted as often as possible, because every time someone buys it, they get something new. The other option is, can you make repeatable things? If something you made sold really quickly, it's going to be one of a kind, the next thing. But can you make it pretty much the same, so the SEO is the same and everything? I do numerous bookmarks like that, and you make it into the superpower. The difference is, it's like, this is going to be created just for you. These are examples of what it looks like, but everyone is slightly different. So you don't say they're imperfections or it's a bad thing. It's made just especially for you. So you absolutely can do. And then you can have some of these ones that bring people into the shop. Then you've structured your shop. You have your hero items that are the one of a kind, wonderful things. Then you could have the things that you can personalize, the things you can make again. Then I know some really great artist shops. They have their one of a kind paintings, and they also have some print on demand things of their paintings. So you can drool at their wonderful artwork that you can't afford just now and buy a mouse mat or a journal or something with their artwork on it, and all your friends and family get to know that you love that artist, and one day they buy the painting for you. So there's ways. Yes, you're at a disadvantage, but turn a disadvantage into a superpower.
And you can charge more for the items that are completely one of a kind. If you, as long as you've got some listings out in search, if the truly one of a kind items that are going to be at a disadvantage in search, if you're worried about those, charge a higher price for them, because that price point then becomes the value. It becomes, a perception of quality. And people are going to value that product more based on that higher price point, because they know it's a unique item. So, Unique Charm said to everyone, hi there to everyone. If all the listings are an A and you still don't have sales, any advice? Jessica had kind of answered this. She had said the grade is a reflection of how well the listing follows at these best practices. It doesn't tell you if the keywords are good or not. And it's not just keywords. You could optimize the heck out of a product that nobody wants, and I'm not saying that no one wants your product. I'm just saying that is a possibility. If you're trying to sell, shirts that say, I love underwater basket weaving, and there's no demand for underwater basket weaving, then it doesn't matter if the listing is, following Etsy's best practices. There's a human element there. It's not an algorithm that awards you with sales. It's a human being that performs a search, finds your product, and decides for themselves if it's something that they're willing to buy. So there's an unlimited number of issues that could be going on. I would recommend checking out our Reddit and maybe submitting some listings in to be critiqued over there. Is that linked down below?
I think we've got a kind of link tree, because we decided we had too many links.
Jessica, can you grab that? Or if you're still here, or Debbie, one of you, could you get the link to the Reddit and put it in the chat?
eRank SEO. No, eRank. I can't remember. Can someone put the link in? I can't remember it now. Yeah. It's either eRank SEO or eRank Community.
Something
We've
like
got.
that.
Yep, I'll remember.
And Chuck said, "I want to sell marmalade flavored bicycle chain. Why can't I sell?" I like that example too.
That sounds good. How'd you get the chains to hold together? Yeah, fantastic. You could do TikToks about that. I'd watch them.
Let's see.
But yes, the A grade is just a part of the puzzle. You've got to find out what the problem is. Are your pictures awful? Is your item awful? Have you picked bad keywords? Yeah.
Let's see. Kathy, thoughts about Etsy taking away sellers' ability to add handling charges to shipping cost, and why? I always thought handling, that shipping and handling, like, I don't know. It's always been a weird metric to me, because in most cases the handling, it's not going through a fulfillment center. This is what's handling it. You know what I mean? So it's, I think they're just taking out a little bit of fluff in the wording process more than anything.
Yeah, we never actually had that option, so they've not taken it from us, and it sort of made sense to me for calculated shipping, because I don't know, it's a thing in the UK. They don't just talk about shipping, or we call it postage. It would be postage and packing. So you expect that price to include the packing materials and all the other things that go on, but. Thank you for bringing it up, Kathy, so we can remind people who haven't spotted it that Etsy are taking away that ability, and they're planning that you should just roll it into your listing price, which in reality we should have been doing anyway. Your listing price should include not just how much it costs for you to make the item and also how much you want paid, and then the fees. You're also thinking of all your marketing charges and all the other materials and everything that's needed into creating and selling that item. So it is something that we kind of forget about when we start out quite often.
Let's see. Will Etsy ever have the option to select US individual states? I have live plants that cannot sell in California. And even though I mentioned this on my description, I get at least 5 orders every month for that state. Put it in your listing photos. Anything that you need them to know, because the same goes for different forms of taxidermy and migratory birds, especially in states like California. They don't allow imports of certain animal products. And I see that a lot, with sellers who sell different animal products. It's not this sounds really, really silly, but it's not the buyer's responsibility to know the laws that you are required to follow as the seller. They're not going to know. So, and I would say maybe your second or third listing photo, if it happens a lot, like if it's happening so much that it's causing a problem for your business, anything that they need to know, whether it's care instructions for the plants, how the plants will come shipped, any steps for acclimating your plants. Don't rely on the descriptions. You can't even see descriptions on mobile. I had trouble. I was shopping on Etsy yesterday, and I was sitting there like, where did they get rid of it? Where did it go? Like, I couldn't even find it. I finally did, but it took me a minute, and I've been selling on Etsy for 12 years now, and I couldn't find it. So anything that is important for them to know, put it on a listing photo. You can use something like Canva. Keep it short, simple, sweet, to the point. Don't make it threatening, like, nobody from California order from me. Like, make sure that you're compassionate about it. Unfortunately, due to California regulations, I cannot ship to blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they're going to look at your photos. They won't read your descriptions. They'll look at your photos, though. If they are reading your descriptions, like, they're highly motivated.
Yeah, but message Etsy. Keep messaging Etsy every time you have to cancel and say you need this option. Mm-hmm. But I didn't even know that was a thing, but it totally makes sense. So yeah, if there is restrictions in certain states, Etsy should be giving you the ability to not ship to those states. the same as Northern Ireland, please, Etsy. But yeah, they do need to get more granular, give us the ability without making our shipping profiles too complicated, but some options to opt out of certain things. Yeah, that sounds like something they should do.
See, Meredith, do actual books like puzzle books or something like Miss Kitty's Guide to Healthy Giving sell on Etsy? Are they your books? You can, so from what I've noticed, I think Etsy says you shouldn't sell books, but plenty of people sell sprayed edge books. I haven't seen Etsy.
I can't remember.
I don't think that there's any policies against selling books. It's not what it's intended for, but people definitely do it. I think that the main thing is that, you know, just making sure that they're your books, and that, you know, they're your publications or your puzzle books that you've created. Puzzle books are a little bit different though. That's more of an activity as opposed to a you know, like a hardback book. I'm an author, and I was actually looking into it a couple of years ago, and I couldn't find an answer on it, so I didn't, because I was going to experiment with packages back before Etsy said you could do the gift boxes.
Yeah, I can't see anything saying you can't, just so long as it fits in with stuff that what you've done. But I don't think people come to Etsy for books. I have heard that people are doing quite well on Amazon for self-publishing, so it's probably better to go where they are. Yeah, Brian's saying there's a category of books.
Okay.
Yeah, that was going to be my second search. Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't see anything in the policies, but I think you can. I think we shall have to do some research to to see if there's much selling. I haven't even Googled that. Well,
Yeah.
eRanked that.
Books definitely do sell, but it's usually like a book that already exists, and you go to Etsy because there's a seller who does custom book jackets, or, you know, they rebind it and make it look like an old book, or they do, you know, artwork on the edges of the pages. And even then you still have to get official licensing from those authors. You can't just sell those. But she did say that they wrote, or that she wrote them. So yeah, you know, maybe just try to find some keywords that, you know, check some keywords based on, you know, what the books are, and see if there's any demand for the specific keywords, like puzzle books, for example. I would start there, and like Pam said, if not, then definitely check out Amazon, and see if you can find some demand.
Also, possibly have a search on Etsy and see what comes up. I have a feeling, like Starla saying, there's so many kind of things related to books that if you search for a lot of things, you might not see. I have seen people selling like PDFs of puzzle sheets and things. That kind of thing does well. So perhaps digital versions of your book might be better.
Yeah. Experiment with it though, because we don't know for sure, but might be worth testing.
And we've been around for a long time, and we've dealt with lots of sellers, and that's actually a first for me. So well done. Novel question.
Let's see. Kat asked, Josh mentioned a higher order to quality scoring and lifting up the best of sellers. Do you think that star sellers will start ranking higher in search than the customer service standards?
Yeah, what I'm seeing, because the star seller and you've got the customer service standards are in there sort of below it. I don't think they're going to do that, because star seller is impossible for some people to reach, so it would be an unfair standard. But they're definitely looking at other things. Myself and Starla were talking about it before we came on, talking about using the AI to tell how handmade your photographs are and things like that. So I think they'll be using different metrics, and ones that are less easy to be gamed, hopefully, as well. So I hope they're more going to be looking into how things are made, that whatever, I can't remember what it's called, but the new thing, rather than it being handmade vintage or whatever, now it's, you know, how handmade is it? I think they'll be looking at that. Yeah. So hopefully.
Let's see. We've got about 5 minutes. We'll try to speed round through because I know that there's still quite a few left. But keep in mind, Pam and Bryan, I'll get the link again for you guys. Pam and Bryan will be going live right after we end here over on Pam's channel to do more with the investors report. I know we didn't really cover a whole lot of it, but go over there and watch theirs. But Lorenzo had asked, when not a holiday season, is it good to continue daily postings, multiple same day daily postings, weekly daily postings? What do you mean by postings? Do you mean posting listings? I've never found it to be good practice to post listings every single day. There's some, you know, sketchy YouTubers who are like, post every day. You have to post every day. And there's no science behind that. But if you mean on social media, I do it. It's up to you. You can only do what you can do. What really ads. Okay. Ads as in social media specifically, like you're not paid ads, but just posting on social. Here's the thing, you can only do what you can do, and what matters more is consistency. So if you can't do it every single day, and you can't, you know, I schedule out my content 2 months in advance, but if you're not able to do that, try to make sure you get 3 days a week down. You know, pick 3 days a week, schedule content ahead of time. Use something like, you know, the Meta Business Suite, or I use Metricool. Schedule your content out. If you get to the point where you're like, this is easy, you know, I'm used to this, maybe a couple months down the line, you add in another post and you make it 4 a week and then 5 a week. Work up to it. I wasn't posting every single day, you know, starting out. I'm going on 3 years now of posting on all social media platforms every single day. It does take a lot of time, but it takes way less time than it used to because I've built processes around it. So
yeah, but I will say, because people are given the advice to post every day, so folks are burning themselves out posting every day and not checking if what they're posting is working. So it would be better if you posted 3 times a week and we're going back in one of those days and checking what was working and reformatting what you were doing, rather than just keeping on. Quite a lot of platforms, it would be better if you posted 3 times a week and a couple of other days a week you were going on there and interacting with your followers. You know, there's best practices are always going to keep changing, but they're social media. They're not spam all types of people to try and get sales media.
I was reading something. We have several really good questions, and I hate to skip over some.
I'm pulling this one up while you're looking. Yeah, so Meredith says she's gotten 3 orders since we critiqued her Hokey Pokey Biz, and she set up her new shop, I Love Cats and Kids. Anyone who missed it, we did shop critiques almost a month ago, so we'll probably be doing them next week if something else doesn't come up.
So happy for you, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, Meredith was one of the ones got chosen. Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah, if you guys missed it, it's just we had a quick look at her shop and we didn't do any magic on it. We were just like, it's a cats and kids shop. Look, this is great.
So, guys, I'm going to grab there. I really want to get to a couple of these questions in particular. If I missed you, it's not because I did so intentionally. These are just really important and we have to hurry because Pam's got to get to her stream. But take your questions, maybe over at the end of Pam's stream. I'll put the link in here. Maybe at the end of hers, you guys can ask some questions as well for her and Bryan. But Chuck had said, I watched a video where it was mentioned eRank will have a cookie jar option for tracking ads cost ratio. Sorry, I can't remember the name. It is to determine what's the ad cost and revenue ratio. Is that something that maybe Anthony said? Was it a man who said it? Because if it was a man, it was probably Anthony. And he says all kinds of stuff because he's our CEO and who knows what they're working on. So
yeah, it's not something I've heard of. I don't remember that. But if Anthony said it, then it's somewhere in his brain.
Hannah Gardner 4-hour workshop.
Okay, Hannah that was great. It's a great workshop. She doesn't have any info on what new tools we've got coming up, but she also, in her workshop, she's using eRank, but she's also using her own tools as well.
So it might be a profit tree tool.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I just want to acknowledge this one, super duper fast, created by EJF. Said, I saw a YouTuber say the other day that if you don't have a bestseller badge, just put one on your Etsy listing yourself. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I would be curious.
Try and be misleading. Yeah.
Do we know who that person's initials are? Because I can almost bet I know who it is. And don't do anything that person says. We don't even say who that person is. We call that person
they who cannot be named.
They who cannot be named, but
yeah,
that's
yes. But no, that just screams. Do you know that if you have to say these things yourself, then they're not true. If you have to say you're the best in the world, then you're not. So, so if you have to say you're a bestseller and Etsy's not saying that you're the bestseller, customers will know. They'll see the difference and they'll know that what you're like.
Just Google that person's full name and go to Reddit. I mean, really, that's all. I don't need to say anything more. You can Google their name and go to Reddit and get all the information you need. But
make popcorn.
Yeah, make some popcorn. But guys, that's all we have time for. I'm going to go ahead and grab that link one more. I think I still have it saved here. Yes, I just popped a link into the chat. Go click that. Pam is about to go live over there with Bryan as soon as we stop eating her time here. We appreciate you guys.
I'll have a wee 15 minutes. I need a toilet break, but yeah.
Oh, well, then that means that you guys have time to go potty. So go hang out with Pam and Bryan. They're going to be going over more of the financial report and all the graphs and brainy stuff. I'm definitely going to catch up on that sometime tonight because I like watching them get all brainy, and I have to cover this tomorrow on the beans. So I'll have more things I'll send more traffic your way tomorrow, Pam, because I'm sure I'll link that video tomorrow.
If you want any graphs or charts, give me a yell. We've got a bucket load.
I'll just send them your way. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
It wasn't easy, no, but with eRank, we're trending now. I dreamed of topping all the charts. I wanted sales to blow up. Remember long nights crafting, no one clicking on my stuff. But I signed up for eRank. Now my shop's a rising star.